Welcome to M&G Agency Life. This time, we're going full tech mode.
Yep, Series 3 is all about the tech that powers the work we do here at Mearns & Gill.
Because behind everything we do, there's a whole lot of clever stuff happening behind the scenes.
And we're here to break it all down. No jargon, no complicated waffle, just clear, practical insight.
We'll be chatting SEO and web builds.
Video that grabs attention in the first few seconds.
Digital retargeting that actually works, and lots more.
So, whether you're a business owner, a marketer, or just someone who loves understanding how things work,
this series is for you. Let's talk tech. Shall we do this?
Oh, heck yes.
Welcome back to M&G Agency Life. It's Series 3. Let's talk tech.
So far this season, we've talked SEO and retargeting, and today we're moving on to the thing that underpins absolutely everything.
Yes, your website.
Yep, this episode is about why a good website is essential, what good actually looks like, and why your website is never really finished.
So, joining us today, we have Kirsty, our web lead here at M&G, back in the room. Hello, Kirsty.
Hi.
Haven't seen you since Series 1. What have you been up to?
I had my son and building websites.
So, building websites and making babies.
Perfect.
Okie dokie.
We also have Stephen here today as well, our developer, giving us both the user experience and the technical perspective. Hello.
Hello there. Hi, Stephen, and welcome to the podcast. You haven't joined us yet. This is your M&G podcast debut.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Right, well, look, let's get right into this. This episode is titled Why Your Website Actually Matters. So let's start big picture then. Why is a website still so essential for businesses today?
I think obviously social media is a big part in everyone's mind, everyone's on there, but a website is still the central place of trust where people go to check credibility, the narrative that you've shaped around your business, see what problems, if you can solve their problem in more depth. So I think it's still a massive part of businesses today to help their sales approach.
Steve, do you want to add anything to that at all?
Just that a website is a conversation between two people. It's the client trying to reach out to their audience. So making that centralized place where all that information can be put into one place, and it's not just bits of information like on social media. You get one post and you get one opportunity to put a tiny bit of information out. The website is the centralized hub of all that information.
Mm-hmm.
Nicely put, you guys.
Yeah. So do you think that some businesses underestimate the role their website plays in winning this work and building trust?
Yeah, I think some businesses do. Not because they tend to see it as maybe more of a supporting role, not just as an active part of their sales process. So I think it's somewhere that, it's obviously, it's not just a first point of contact. If they come from social media, they'll then still, like I said, go back to the website to check credibility and see if they can solve that problem for them.
All right. I think we're going to come back to social media later on.
Yeah.
That definitely plays a part in all of this. Let's go to what good actually looks like then. When you both look at a website and think, this is good, what are the signs? Stephen, do you want to go on this first?
For me, a good indicator of a good website would be clear call to action. So not just a website where you land on it. It's a piece of text and that's it. You're like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
The website guides you through and you know what you're trying to achieve there. If it's trying to get someone to phone, then that website should give you the information, direct you to the contact page, you make a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that's the number one indicator of the website actually achieving something.
So from a user's point of view, having very clear actions, so you don't have to hunt around for what you're trying to do. All right, Kirsty, have you got anything to add to that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes there's a misconception that you have to have the fanciest website and that's extravagant. I think the best websites are the clearest, even if they still might, be a beautiful website, but you don't want it to be chaotic. It should feel easy and users should be able to just move through the website to get to what they need to easily.
Mm-hmm. Well, that leads on to, from a user's point of view, what do you think makes a website easy or maybe frustrating for them to use?
So for me, making it easy is putting things in places where they're expected. So an example is in the navigation, the contact button is always on the very far right. So people expect that to be there. And if it's not there, then it's frustrating to try to figure out where you're going. You have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page to the footer to find this button. And a frustrating one is when you put conversion over the usability. So an example would be like pop-ups when you land on a website and you're instantly asked to sign up to a newsletter. and you're like pressing buttons all over the place.
Yeah.
Those would be the two main ones for me.
So are we talking user journey here? Is that what this is all about?
Yeah, I mean, that's the fundamental of a website is the user experience.
Kirsty?
Yeah, and I think there's, with a website, there's so many different layers to it. So, you've got not just the style of it, the colours, the typography, but you've got the words, what are we saying to specific audiences to help them get what they need. I think sometimes, simple's best. So I think it can be frustrating when there's just too much jargon or you're not speaking correctly to those audiences that you're trying to, reach.
So look, I know my front end from my back end. How important are speed, structure and clarity compared to visual design? See, front end, back end. See what I did?
Oh, we got it. We just
thanks.
react.
Who wants to go?
So a website that's always been sort of mentioned in the kind of UX sphere is Craigslist, because it is fundamentally the most bare bones website there is. It's literally just text and...
Is it ugly?
It's the eye of the beholder, Pete. Is it?
Right.
If you like plain, if you're an Apple user, you might like it. It's white and blue.
Okay.
But it focuses on structure and it's clear navigation, and it doesn't have any design. It doesn't have any imagery. It's just click here to buy something, and you get to that point, and it has the most monthly users of all second-hand sales websites. It's way more than Depop and Vinted isn't a web thing.
Does it need a bit of a visual touch-up though, do you think? Or is it fine because it does what it does?
It does what it does. It's been used as a case study for years as an example of not to over-design and just to let it do its own thing.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Kirsty, anything else there?
Yeah, I think it comes back to your question about, what can be frustrating. I think if you've got something that's highly visual, but it's impacting the speed of the website, people are just going to want to leave the website pretty quickly. So you want to get that balance correct. I think prioritizing the clarity and speed of the website is more important. It's that kind of clear structure beats kind of beautiful chaos.
Nicely put. Yeah. Total chaos.
So do you think it's fair to say a website should guide users rather than make them think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as soon as they start thinking, they're going to potentially leave, or there'll be a reason for that, and it'll be, it should really be flowing them through rather than them thinking about that doesn't feel right. That's a weird image there. That doesn't pair with the text, or like it's just slowing me down. I can't get to information. If the website is slow, they'll be thinking about it, and then they'll be thinking, I'm going to go. Because with a website, they might be going there from a comparison. They might be comparing other websites. They might be making it as a part of a decision, and if that's starting to slow them down, or they're thinking about things too much, then it can put them off. So I think it's. The less they're thinking about it, the better.
That must be really important, especially if it's an e-commerce site, because there's nothing worse than getting to that checkout and you're having issues actually getting to the payment bit. You're going to jump off, right?
That's a really good example, because convenience is a really big part of that. So, for example, with payments, if they're starting to think about, how am I going to pay, or can I use, for example, you've got so many options with payments now, like Klarna, Google Pay, Apple Pay. So if you've got all the options there and it's super easy, it means they don't have to think about it, and everyone has different options for how they want to pay. As soon as you take away some of those options, which are now, I think, culturally normal, and they start thinking about it, they might decide, actually, I don't really want to pay just now. Charity websites are a fantastic example of that, where it's like as soon as they start having to think about paying, they might just switch off and might not donate.
Yeah, and we're all using mobile devices a lot more, right? So, I mean, every website is going to be optimized. But when I love an Apple Pay option, because it's just that double click on the side of your phone, boom, drop done. Yeah. You don't have to enter my card details. What month is it? Just like that. It's got to be like, surely that's so important. Interesting. Fascinating. Right, let's go on to some myth busting. There's a bit of a myth. Right, don't hate me for this one, all right? Mm-hmm. There's a bit of a myth that because social media exists, businesses don't really need a website anymore. What's your thoughts? Don't hate me.
So for me, the main one would be that with your website, you own your own data. So if you have all your content on Instagram, for example, then Instagram overnight shuts down. Your entire platform is gone and you have nothing to show for like 10 years of your work.
So if you're an influencer like Amy, you have 1 million followers on Insta. Someone's reported your account for some reason. Maybe they're a competitor. Your account gets closed down. You lost it all.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
The other one is not an example of any social media I can think of, but a megalomaniac comes and buys the platform and changes the audience overnight.
Okay. And would
Then-
that happen? Could that happen?
I mean, there's not an example I can think of at the moment.
Good.
So that changes your audience overnight. And the other thing is the audience that you have on social media is influenced by that social media. So you're limiting the prospective sales.
Any other thoughts, Kirsty, on this one?
Yeah, I mean, social media, I think, starts the conversation, but the website typically will finish it. So I think, people might discover you on Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever, but they'll check your website before taking action.
So the two almost go hand in hand. You need that website, but sometimes, and we'll run a lot of digital campaigns that will point people towards your website so they can get more information, they can make that purchase. But yes, so basically we are saying, yes, you do still need a website.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, glad we clarified. Right, let's get away from all this and move into websites as living things. A lot of people see websites as a one-off project. Why is that such a risky mindset?
I think because the moment you stop looking after it, it starts to fall behind. Users' expectations change. Content becomes outdated pretty quickly. Small issues might be stacking up in the background, from a maintenance kind of perspective of, if you're not looking after the website and keeping it up to date. But I think generally, if your business is very active and you're wanting to keep up and speak to your audiences, the website is a really important place for that. And so you want to make sure that the content is staying with that.
And we spoke about the whole website build process when you were first on the podcast way back then. And obviously part of what we do as well as building websites is we immediately have our monthly maintenance package, which ensures the website's doing what it should do, performing as it should, and all of that good stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I guess, Stephen, from a technical perspective, what happens when a website isn't properly maintained?
So from a technical perspective, there's a thing called the 3-second rule, which isn't about dropping a biscuit and eating it off the floor. It's about...
We have seen you do that, though.
I mean, I would do a 3-second rule.
I can rule that things
easy.
for Stephen.
It's actually, if your website doesn't load within 3 seconds, people tend to just leave
Yeah.
the site. So as part of maintenance, we make sure that your site's up to scratch and it'll load within 3 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
The other part is security risks. So the web is always evolving. There's always threats coming out. The people have found ways to hack platforms, whatever. So keeping up to date patches any potential security risks that appear.
Okay.
And SEO, so things like broken links can happen. We check every month that there are no broken links, and if there are, we redirect them to an appropriate place. The big one for me is accessibility, so making sure that your website is available to as many people as possible. We want to drive sales to your website, so an accessible website allows more people to use it, because it was found in 2021 there was 11 million users of the internet that had some sort of disability, so we don't want to limit your website.
Okay. And how often should a business realistically be reviewing this, or updating their website?
Well, I mean, we offer different plans, and it depends on your website. It depends what if it's a major, quite a large e-commerce website, you'd be doing maintenance pretty regularly. But typically we offer maintenance monthly, and checking updates. Just kind of some small checks just to make sure it's healthy and everything is running fine.
How fast do things move in this space? And I know that you've spoken earlier about technical being maybe more important than visuals, but a website that was built 10 years ago, is that going to look dated now, would you think?
I think that's a good question. I think it's entirely dependent on the website, and what you've done with the website. So if the website has been consistently being updated, from a visual content, incremental changes over the past 10 years, the website is probably going to look still modern because
With the times.
because it's moved and you're not leaving it to be static.
Yeah.
If the website hasn't been touched in 10 years, it's going to look very outdated.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's one small thing businesses could do regularly that would make a big difference?
I think reread your homepage like a first-time visitor.
Mhm.
Is it clear who it's for? What do you do? What is it clear for what they should be doing next? It just helps understand if you're achieving what you want from the website and the audiences as well.
Did you say as a first-time visitor there?
Yeah, as a first-time visitor, imagine you're not, running the business and you're looking at it from the perspective of someone that's just, visiting the website for the first time. Is it achieving what you should be?
Yeah, because I guess you're going to be quite close to it. Obviously, you see it every day, so it's almost this fresh pair of eyes. What do you think of it? Does this all work for you? Cool. Let's move to websites' role in the wider mix of things. How does a website support everything else? SEO, paid media, social, content?
Your website is the hub, I guess, from where everything is feeding into. So if it's, Google search, social media, if you've seen it on a flyer and you've got a QR code and it's going straight to the website, it's kind of your central place. So everything else is just driving traffic to it. So if the site doesn't convert, every other channel has to work harder. So you want to make sure that you are ticking all the boxes when people arrive.
Makes sense?
It's also very difficult to optimize for search engines with a social platform. Like, you don't really have the control to do that and compete with people with websites that have an entire technical suite of tools to boost yourself up the Google search engines or Bing, whatever you use.
Okay.
So, if a website isn't doing its job, how much harder does it make for everything else?
I think it quietly undermines everything else you're spending money on. So if you're running a digital campaign, for example, it can't fix weak website experience. You want to make sure that if you're investing money into a digital campaign or promoting ads on social media, for example, you want to make sure that the website is doing its job for when people get there.
Yeah.
Another thing would be if it's built future-proof, so things like generating landing pages to be specific to campaigns. If your CMS isn't built to allow that, then it just makes everything more difficult to actually sell things on social media or track what that campaign has done. Like, are you getting the form submissions that you're looking for?
I also, just to add to that, I would also say that your website, away from social media, your website should be a return on investment. You're spending a lot of money to build a website for your business, your charity, your project. You want it to be achieving something, whether that's new leads, more visitors. If it's charity, for example, and you want more people joining your support groups, you want to see more people coming through the door. So if you're not, you can tell if it's not doing its job, if you're not achieving some of those targets.
Yeah.
Or you're not seeing it through analytics that people are attending and you're not converting.
Great points, you guys. We're going to draw this section to a close and we're going to move on to our next segment. Okay, you guys, let's move on to this next section of the podcast. It's a brand new feature which is called 404 Answer Not Found. There we go. So, 404 Answer Not Found.
Yeah. So the quiz is where the questions don't make sense, the answers don't matter, and the points are still imaginary.
Try and say something that does make sense. If not, it doesn't really matter. Shall we just get into this then?
So, first question. If your website was a person, what bad habit would it have?
Oh.
So for me, I'm sure you've all been at a networking event or something, and then you're speaking to someone and they look like they're speaking over you and they're trying to get to the next person. As a website, not speaking directly to the audience that you're trying to speak to doesn't work.
If a homepage could talk, what would it complain about the most? Any thoughts?
So I would say, why would no one want to play with me? But that sounds a bit too risque. But
Sounds like you're back in school. Were you bullied?
Yeah, I know. I must have been. Yeah, it's all coming out now, Pete.
Kirsty, what do you think a homepage might say?
Why is no one pushing my buttons?
Yeah, I like that.
So if websites needed MOTs, what would fail most often?
So a good analogy would be taking your car to the garage and you get a fail for the catalytic converter.
Right. What is that in website terms?
So the catalytic converter is the kind of sustainable hub of the car. So sustainability in web is one of the most non-talked about topics. So page weight is a massive thing with websites. So if you have a bunch of videos and images that are like 60 megabytes and
Yeah.
you're expecting someone to be on their phone in the middle of nowhere and load that website, it's not going to work. And you're also forcing people to download lots of content.
We're actually getting proper answers.
Yeah, I know. I feel like this is well thought through, Stephen. You're so quick off the mark.
Kirsty, have you got anything to add to that?
Probably speed. I feel I'm pretty slow.
We don't hold that against you. It's fine.
Right, what is the most passive-aggressive thing a website could do? Oh, this is interesting.
So I'm going to take the marketing approach analogy again.
Right.
Mhm.
So imagine you're at a networking event and someone comes up to you and just screams in your face. That would be what a pop-up is like.
I think that's a great one, Stephen.
Brilliant.
You know, when you go on a website and it's just ads, you know, you look, you know, the worst is if you want to try and get a recipe
Yeah.
Oh, you're S.
and it's like 30 ads and you're like, you're just pressing X.
Jump to the recipe. Yeah. Do that. So, if broken links had feelings, how would they feel?
I would imagine they'd be quite lonely. They're just in the ether there with no one visiting them.
Oh, I think that's plenty today. Thank you both for humouring us for another
404 answer not found. 0011101101. That was a bit of
that was a bit of binary code I did there.
I loved it.
Do you know what I said?
SOS.
Pretty much. Right, let's finish off with a takeaway each.
Yep. So, for Kirsty, what's the one thing people should understand about having a good website?
A good website is, again, that return on investment. You know, it's a place where people come for credibility and trust, and that at the end of the day is what will convert.
Nice. And Stephen, what's one practical thing businesses could improve on their website right now?
I would probably say to audit it first rather than actually change something on it. So undertaking a page speed audit or a usability audit, UX audit, page weight audit, so you can see if there's any clear problems with it. So speed might be a massive problem that's a barrier for people actually using it, and fixing that would be such a massive upgrade.
So a review as a first step. Okay.
Cool. Okay. So, let's have a recap. Your website underpins everything. Good websites are clear, fast, and user focused. And a website is never done, it needs care and attention.
Brilliant. We're almost there. We're almost at the end of the podcast. I've got to say, we've had 2 devs in the podcast room and there's not been one single Lord of the Rings reference. Kirsty, you love... I thought you had a Lord of the Rings t-shirt, but it's actually Sam Fender. Who is it I'm thinking of from Lord of the Rings?
Samwise Gamgee.
Samwise Gamgee. That's who it was.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You fool of a toque.
there we go. There we go. So that is just about it on this episode. Kirsty and Stephen, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great hearing why websites still matter so much.
Yep. And as always, if you'd like to know more about anything we've discussed, you can drop us a line.
You can find us on Instagram at MearnsGill, or you can find Mearns and Gill on Facebook, LinkedIn, or online. We've got a website because it's relevant. The relevant website.
You can also text us directly from the podcast platform with any questions. We'd love to hear from you.
So there we have it. Websites are still king, but what about content strategy? Well, that is next time. We'll catch you then. Thanks, guys.